Welcome back, diehards. Thank you for joining us today. We have a very exciting and knowledge-filled show for you. Today we will be taking it back to the basics as we attempt to tie-dye the world. So thank you for joining us, and without further ado, let's dive, no pun intended, right on into this episode. So, for this feature presentation, we wanted to bring you a back to the basics special, and what that means to us is we are going to take it back to your spirals, to your scrunch folds, to your mandalas, to your accordion fan folds, and some other ones that are well known and that go hand in hand with the arsenal of tie-dye must-knows and the tie-dye fundamentals, if you will. And so yes, that's what we're diving into today. And keep in mind that all of these styles and all of these methods can be used by themselves, of course, but they can also be implemented together, and they could also be interchanged, and they could be adapted and added upon. So what you're going to be learning here is a baseline for where you should be taking your tie-dye journey, if you will. And so yes, what we like to do is we like to just start out where you need to, start out at 1 and then work your way on through to 10. And so the way we do that is by showing you these, I don't want to call them basic, I would call them the fundamentals. By showing you the fundamentals and then adding to that and building it up. It's kind of like geometry. So if you've taken geometry in high school, that's what this is like. So what we learn on Monday, we're going to be tested on Friday for. So this is what Monday is. Monday is your spirals, Tuesday is your scrunch fold, Wednesday is your mandalas, and so on and so forth. And so you really don't want to be caught without knowing these. This is any, respectable tie-dye artist is going to have these different methods and techniques dialed in. And so now you will have them. Go ahead and save them on your favorites list and save them to your watch later playlist. That way you can reference this video, and that way you can dive into it whenever you need to in order to get a refresher course, especially for you beginners out there. This should be something that gets you off to the right direction as far as your tie-dye journey and as far as your must know and things that should be able to be on point. So from here on out, you'll have them in your what would that be considered? You'll have them in your deck. You'll have them in your arsenal. You'll have them up your sleeve, however you want to call it. That way, on point, you could just bam, pull them out and implement these. When properly done, they seem simple on the surface, but trust me, they are very, very useful. And all the rest of the tie-dye designs are just renditions and expansions of these basics. And so you had to learn the ABCs before you learned how to spell different, more complicated words. And so these are your ABCs and your 1, 2, 3s. And so yes, it will be very much in your best interest to go ahead and take note on the placement, take note on the different binding styles, and take note on the different applications here. This is not a dye application tutorial. This is simply the binding and the folding of these tie-dye designs. And so yes, we will do we've done one in the past. Go ahead and check out some of our playlists. Check out our tie-dye the world playlist. That has a lot of dye absorption and dye saturation tips and tricks, so that way you can get into your color patterns and your color combos and your dye effectiveness in those playlists. So yes, you're more than welcome to check those out. But yes, so anyway, what we want to think in terms of while we're doing these different designs is binding strength, folding precision, and later on, after you fold these, of course, you'd want to then get into your dye application. But in the meantime, we want to keep those lines as sharp as possible, and we want to keep those folds as even and symmetrical as possible. When we start to run into trouble is when we get into uneven folds, because that is when the pattern starts to go astray, whether it be with folding, overlapping, or not getting proper dye saturation. It's all in the beginning steps here, and it is all in the preparation, and it is all in the getting ready to apply the dye. And so the time that you don't want to think about it is when you're applying the dye. The time you want to think about it is now. Yes, the time is now. So take that and do with it what you will. But yeah, all of these designs are, honestly, they are the ones that I started out with. I believe that if you start out with these, that nature will take its course and you will in time become a tie-dye artist that can offer the world a large array of beautiful and blended design techniques and methods, and soon enough you will be teaching me how to do tie-dye designs. So yes, I believe that that is what will happen. So I believe in you, you believe in you, so let's do this. Let's get this dye flowing and let's tie-dye the world. And keep that in mind too, you know. Another important thing that you want to keep in mind is your binding strength. So after you've gotten your folds dialed in, you know, take your time, and if at any point you aren't satisfied with your folds, you know, break it back down and start over. And that was another point of this video. You could see me breaking down all these designs after I tied them, and simply that's what happens a lot of the times. You know, if you get to the end but you're not happy with it, hey, have a cup of tea and go ahead and then come back and dive on back into it, and you will be happy with the outcome. And so don't let your being in a hurry, or don't let your pride be the reason why you continue to push forward when you're not happy with the design. And so I recommend that very much so. Just take your time with it. That's a key thing. Patience is a key thing that you need for all of these. So patience, understanding, knowledge, technique, and tie-dye. Those are the things that we're going to need, and that's what's going to help you have a successful tie-dye journey. So yes, all those things are what you need, and hopefully you have them. So yeah, and that is a recipe for success. So I've given you a recipe for success. So you should succeed at this point. And yes, and that's, you know, and if you don't, hey, you know, as long as you move the needle forward in your favor, that's all that's important. You know, as long as you learn something every time, then none of it was a waste of time. You know, it was all worthwhile. As long as you can say, well, you know, I messed up here, but fuck, I learned something at least. Now I know not to overly bind my shirts when I'm trying to tie-dye them, or damn, you know, I really should have listened, and I really should have boiled out that shirt, because now it's not bonding properly, and now the dye looks like shit. And so as long as you learn something, it was worth it, and you take that and you just keep building forward, and you keep building up until you're at a place where you're happy and at a place where you're confident enough to showcase your tie-dye canvases and rock them out in public, in the world. That's the ultimate compliment as far as I'm concerned, to where if you're not breaking necks, then you're not breaking checks. So that's the motto here. And yes, so keep that in mind, keep these things in mind, and you will be stunting, and you will be shining, and you will be doing it, moving in no time. But all right, so yes, we hope that you learned something. We hope that this video was informative, and we hope that you enjoyed. Everybody out there, thank you for your time. Diehards, as always, thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure. Everybody new to the channel, welcome. Thank you very much. Hit that like and subscribe button if you found this show to be entertaining or informational. We appreciate it very much. And everyone, thank you. Tie-dye the world, and I will see you next time. All right, well, we love you. Take care. Bye-bye.